This video will show you how to solve a problem of stoichiometry mole to mole. The first thing that we have to do is we have to understand if the problem is a problem of mole to mole, okay? So the first step is we have to analyze the syntax of the problem to see if it is a mole-mole problem. This is going to be made just by looking to the question that we have in the problem. If in the whole sentence or if in the whole question, everything is stated or expressed in terms of moles, this is a mole-mole problem. If we have, for example, here in this question, how many moles of NH3 are produced when 80 moles of H2 react? This is a mole-mole problem because in the whole sentence, everything is expressed in terms of moles. If we have, for example, here or here, something different than moles, we have grams, we have molecules, we have particles, then the first thing that we have to do is we have to change those grams or we have to change those particles into moles in order to solve it as a mole-mole problem, okay? After we analyze the syntax of the problem and that we define that it's a mole-mole problem, the next thing to do is we have to balance the chemical equation if it is needed. As a hint, if you have coefficients in your equation, remember that coefficients are the big number that you have in front of the equation. If you already have that, it means that the equation is balanced, okay? However, it's important that you double check your equation just to see if it is balanced correctly. After that, what you have to do is you have to build a box and solve. Remember that to do it, what we have to do is we draw a box, we divide it by 4, and at the top of the first column, we are going to write the first element or compound that appears in the question. At the top of the second column, we are going to write the second element or compound that appears in the question. In the first row, we are going to write information that we are going to be getting from these two compounds, okay, the ones that we wrote here, about that we find in the reaction. And in the second row, we are going to write the information of the two compounds that we wrote at the top that we get from the question, okay? So let's make a problem in order to see if we understood how to solve the problems mole-mole using the box. For example, we have this chemical equation that says 3 moles of H2 plus 1 mole of nitrogen reacts in order to form 2 moles of NH3, which we know that it's nitrogen 3 hydride, okay? Since we already have numbers in front of the compounds, it is understood that the reaction is balanced. However, we are going to double check in order to see if it is balanced correctly, okay? So if we have hydrogen and we have nitrogen, okay, let's see how many atoms do we have of hydrogen and nitrogen in the whole reaction, okay? So we write here reactants and products, okay? So how many atoms of hydrogen do we have in the reactant side? Okay, so in the reactant side, we have this 3, okay, times 2, we have a 6 here, okay? And in the product side, we have this 2 times 3, we have also 6. If we check nitrogen, we have in the reactant side 2 atoms, and in the product side, we have 2. So this reaction is balanced correctly. So we can say that our reaction is balanced, so we can move forward, okay, to build the box, okay? Remember that when we are balancing chemical equations or when we have equations that are already balanced, if we have, okay, a compound and we do not have anything in front of it, it is understood that we have a number 1 there, okay? So the question says, how many moles of NH3 are produced when 80 moles of H2 react? Okay, so I know that this is a mole-mole problem because in my whole sentence, everything is expressed in terms of moles, okay? Here we have moles and here we have moles. So the next thing that I will have to do is I will have to draw my box, okay? I draw a box, I divide it by 4, And in the first row, I'm gonna write information about the reaction, okay? The balance reaction or the balance equation. And in the second row, we are going to write information about my question. As we said, at the top of the first column, we are going to write the first element or compound that appears in the question, okay? Remember that the question is this one, okay? So in the question says, how many moles of NH3, so here I'm gonna write NH3, are produced when 80 moles of H2 reacted. So here I'm gonna write H2, okay? First elementary compound that appears in my question is the one that I'm gonna be writing at the top of the first column. Second elementary compound that appears in my question is the one that I'm gonna be writing at the top of the second column, okay? So now in the boxes, I'm gonna be writing the information that I'm gonna be getting from the reaction and from the question of NH3 and H2, okay? So how many moles of NH3 do I have in that reaction, okay? And remember that moles is a big number, the number that we have out front of the compound, okay? So which is the number that I have out front of NH3? Okay, I'm gonna write here, it's a 2, okay? And how many moles of H2 do I have in the reaction, okay? Which is the big number that I have in front of H2, it's a 3, okay? The next thing to do is I have to move to the question. The question says, how many moles of NH3 are produced when 80 moles of H2 react? So here I'm gonna be writing my 80 because this is what I have from the question, 80 moles of H2. And this is what we are looking for. We are looking for how many moles of NH3 are produced when 80 moles of H2 react, okay? So now what I have to do is I have to solve for X. And since you know how do we solve it is we multiply what we have in diagonal and we divide by what we have in horizontal. So the way to solve this will be X, it's equal to 80 times 2 divided by 3. If I solve it, I'm gonna be having here as my answer 53.3 moles of NH3, okay? And this is the question or the answer of my question.